Hi there, and welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. I was just getting a bit excited about that piece of music at the beginning because I really do like it. My name is Beth Bergen. I'm an internationally awarded leadership and communication coach. And if I was to describe what I would do, I sum it up in this statement. I help executives and managers build their influence through powerful communication and leadership. And the impact of that is that they build and lead cohesive teams, they drive the results, and also on a more personal level, they increase their visibility. And what we know is that when you increase your visibility, you are much more likely to be given opportunities for promotion or potentially for stretch assignments that are going to bring you to the attention of others in your networks. So I'm here live most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Over the last couple of weeks, if you've been watching, we've explored the 10, not the 10, but 10 foundational leadership skills and their impact. And we've looked at how you can build those. And what it seemed to me is that a natural step from here, a really natural step, is to look at some strategies for you as a leader to motivate your team. Now, it's at this point that we kind of go, oh, okay, so what exactly, Beth, is motivation? And I always find that it's useful if I'm working with clients, with whether it's individuals or in groups, to bring back to some of those basics. So that's where we'll start. So what is motivation? Well, motivation is the driving force behind our actions. It's what actually drives us. It's the reason that we do what we do. And motivation is also, it's like a process. It's a process that initiates, it actually directs, and it sustains our behavior. Psychologically, it influences how we behave. It comes from different sources. And this is what a lot of, when you're looking to motivate people, this is quite a key point for you to actually understand. There's intrinsic motivation, which is coming from within. And then there's extrinsic motivation, which comes from an external factor. So that external factor, that extrinsic, is things like working for a bonus, studying for a good grade, playing sport because you're going to get a prize. There's something out there that is influencing you. Intrinsic is, I want to read a book. I'm going to go and volunteer because this would be something that just makes me feel good. Or I'm going to go and spend some time with friends because that's really, I really enjoy their company. Motivation is influenced by many different factors and many different emotions. We can have biological factors, there might be psychological factors, there could be social factors or environmental factors. We're not going to get into the depth of those today, just the same as there are many different theories about motivation, and we're not going to dig deep down into any of those theories. But if you're interested in knowing more, I'm sure that if you talk to AI or Google or something like that, you'll get much more of an understanding that's specific to your situation. What I want to talk about is what actually matters in the work environment. And in the work environment, the factors that are really important for you so that you can motivate your team are things like this. It's your leadership style. And we've talked a lot in the past about the variety of different leadership styles and how, as a leader, it will absolutely serve you if you learn how to move flexibly and fluidly from one leadership style to another, depending on some of the circumstances that you're working with. So there's that leadership style. The second thing is that your reward and recognition system. What are you doing to reward and to recognize your team? That was one of the foundational skills that we've looked at over the last couple of weeks. So you might want to go back to those if you'd like to dig a little bit deeper into that reward and recognition. The third one is your organizational culture. Are you encouraging people to be autonomous? Are you encouraging your team to want to do more, to want to do their best? Or is what happening that you're kind of holding them back? And I'll look at a whole lot of factors about that in just a minute. The fourth thing in terms of your work environment and the factors that are important is the structure of the work. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, some jobs and the processes that people have to follow are not the most stimulating jobs to do. So it's almost like looking at what is the structure of each team member's day, and am I giving them some variety? Now, of course, there will be some people who don't want that variety, so you figure theirs out, so it's pretty much the same. I always remember years and years ago going to a conference and we were talking about leadership, and one of the things that we examined was a team of people who were doing the most boring job. This will give away how long ago it was, because this was before mail was electronically sorted. So there were people there sorting the mail by hand. And what had happened was that this group of people had come up with a fabulous game that they scored points in. They had two teams that were going against each other. It was kind of like mailroom cricket, where they weren't actually bowling a ball, obviously, and hitting it, but whatever they were doing scored particular runs or points, and that motivated them for correctness, but also to work much faster than they would have if they were demotivated. So the structure of their work allowed them to have that freedom to be able to come up with something quite different. So have a think in your mind about the structure that you're putting onto some of the tasks that your team members might want to do, and potentially they're demotivating. Other things that are going to demotivate your team are this. Now, you might want to listen carefully here, because I know that you will be just as guilty of some of these things as I have been over time. First one is micromanaging. Like, step back, let them have some autonomy. Show them what they need to do, but give them that clarity. The second one is lack of feedback. So not only are we micromanaging, maybe we're not giving them any feedback. An absolute demotivator. And I know this has happened to me over the years in various roles. Other people have taken credit for my ideas and my work. So as a leader, have the courage and the integrity to bring your team along and to recognize and value the work that they do. Another demotivator is unrealistic expectations. We just kind of go, oh yeah, they'll get it done. And we keep piling the work onto them. And when they don't do it, we use another demotivator, which is I'm going to blame you. I'm going to blame you because you haven't done it. What's wrong with you people? So I'm looking outward as a leader and potentially not looking inward at what I could improve. Also, directly following on from that, and we've touched on it earlier briefly, is this lack of recognition. So if you're not recognizing people for the work that they're doing, it's demotivating for them. It's also demotivating when there's really poor communication from you to your team, but also amongst team members. Some leaders want to keep their team almost separate, which is really difficult if you want to encourage collaboration, if you want to encourage communication and give, create a culture where it's psychologically safe for people to speak up. Finally, inconsistent handling of toxic behavior is the ultimate demotivator. If an individual member of your team can be sitting here and can look over and see day after day after day, if what they can observe is that you are allowing someone to get away with toxic behavior, whether that be that person isn't accountable, their productivity's down, they're stirring everybody up all the time, whatever that behavior might be, if you're letting someone get away with that all the time, the rest of your team are observing that. It is the ultimate demotivator. So look out for that in your own behavior. Sometimes that very person who's quite toxic is the most difficult one for you to have a conversation with. So it might be that you've got to have a conversation with yourself that says, got to deal with this. Yeah. So I really encourage you to have a look at that. So what are 6 keys to motivating your team? Well, the first one is this. And these are things that the same things keep coming up in a lot of what we talk about in leadershipization, because these are all aspects of what I call your leadership intelligence. So these are behaviors and patterns of communicating or leading that are all in that leadership intelligence toolbox that I talk about. So this is the first one. Ask for feedback. Ask for feedback and ask for ideas. And really importantly, do something with that feedback or those ideas. That helps people to understand they've been heard. That helps people to understand they're valuable, and it motivates them to come up with other feedback or other ideas. Because what they saw was not only did you listen, you implemented, you did something about it. That's your first one. The second one is notice and acknowledge good work so they know that you saw it. Notice and acknowledge good work so they know that you saw it. Now, who do I mean by they? It might be that I've done really awesome work. If you only tell me that privately, then others don't get to experience that. So think about how you could acknowledge my work in front of the whole team. Now, there's something critical here for you to think about. Not useful for you to make a great big fuss about me if that isn't what I want you to do. Some people want the whole bells and whistles and let's have the confetti coming down and then could we have cake, please? All of that. This isn't about that kind of celebration if obviously if the situation doesn't warrant it, but also if that isn't what I want. So it's awesome to notice and acknowledge that good work. Make sure that others know that you saw it. Make sure that I know, but also make sure the rest of your team knows that you saw it. Okay? Number 3, I want you to challenge your team to grow individually and as a team. Look at ways that you can challenge them individually to grow. Give them stretch assignments. Let them go to additional training, but make sure that you support that as they need it. So, you don't want to set them up to fail. It's not about, oh, I'll give you a big new assignment, a stretch assignment to do, and then I'll back out and they're there floundering. So make sure that when you're challenging them to grow, that you support them as they need it. Also here, it's important to recognize some of your team will really want to grow. Some of your team will really want to stretch themselves and to build their skills. Others might not. So just check that out individually with each person in terms of some professional conversations with them about what their goals and aspirations might be in the workplace. Yeah, that's number 3. Number 4, engage with people personally. Build that relationship. Show that you care about them. Ask them about their hobbies, their kids, their weekend. Now, this doesn't have to be a long conversation. You need to know that if someone has a person in their family who's unwell, by demonstrating that you've heard that and you care about it, you're engaging personally. And then that becomes a motivating for them. You want your team to be cohesively working together for you. Same way as if we were a sporting team, you will have often heard the comment, well, maybe they're not playing for the coach. Maybe the coach has lost the dressing room. When you're engaging personally with your people, it shows that you value them and you're interested in them a little more beyond just them being a bum on a seat who's doing some work for you. It'll really help with their motivation. Number 5, this flows on directly from the last number 3 and number 4. Learn about their career ambitions. Learn about what it is that they want. As I said before, some people are happy with where they are. They might just want to come into work, do the same standard sorts of things, and then go home. They don't have to think about it. Others will be more aspirational. They'll have ambitions about what it is that they would like to do. You're their manager, you're their leader. Make sure that you've found out what those are so that you can help to support that growth. Yeah. And finally, number 6, and I think that this is really one of the most important ones of all. It kind of, the others all lead into this, but if you're not empowering your team, if you're not trusting that your team is going to get the work done, if you're not letting them know that you've got their back, especially in front of others, then you're actually disempowering them and demotivating them. If you don't trust them, they'll feel that, and it's demotivating for them. If you take away every single decision, every single choice, because you think, oh, this is easier than showing them how to do it, you're actively demotivating them. Yeah? So I'm sure you'll find those 6 keys really interesting. A couple of things I'd like to finish with. Guilt, excuse me, guilt is not a great motivator. It doesn't work. It might appear to be working in the first instance, but ultimately it does not work. So have a look at what you're doing and what you're saying. and think about whether it's guilt that you're trying to use as your major weapon. Now, don't just look at work, have a look at home for guilt, because often we try and guilt our kids or our partner into doing something in a particular way or doing something because it's going to keep us happy. The second thing is poor management or poor leadership is totally a demotivator. So all of those things that we talked about before as being demotivated, they all really responsibility to be the best leader that you can possibly be. You need to take responsibility for your own continuous growth so that you can be the kind of leader that has a motivated team. You can be the kind of leader that's driving the team to be the best that they can possibly be. And that you're doing that by drawing on all of your leadership intelligence skills. Okay, thank you so much for being here today. Questions and comments in the platform that you're watching this on, that would be wonderful. And we'll get back to you with any questions or comments that you have. If you're watching this in a replay, hashtag replay would be wonderful. Importantly, reach out. Reach out if you want to have a conversation about your own leadership, about your own visibility, and certainly about how I can work with you to build your influence as a leader and a communicator. Bye now.